What is the most paranormal or unexplained experience you've ever witnessed? I once observed a glowing orb floating on my lawn that vanished the moment I tried to approach closer. I still have no idea what that was, but it was not typical. My ex worked as a scarer at a haunted house, and we went to drop off supplies to the owner one day. The owners wanted to give me a tour, and although I was uncomfortable, I said yes. We were in the living room, and I looked in the mirror and saw an old man in old-timey clothes with a handpipe sitting on the red chair behind me. He looked like he was in a trance state. The owner saw me stare at the mirror and excitedly said, "Did you see something?" I said no, well yes, but it could just be my mind playing tricks. I described the man and she said, "Wait right here. Don't move." She then showed me a small picture of the man that was on the mantle in the other room. She told me the chair was his favorite chair and he died of a heart attack in it. I'm used to paranormal stuff happening, but I am not used to it being backed up with historical evidence like that. Needless to say, I was truly freaked out that it wasn't just a hallucination. Was just about to drive out from my apartment parking when I got a call from an unknown number. No one was on the line. Then an accident happened from the driveway I was just about to leave. Divine intervention? Or maybe just blind luck. My family was living in a house built before 1865 in Western Mass. My bedroom had a door that led into another sibling's room. One night when I woke up to go to the bathroom, when I sat up I saw a figure standing at the end of my sister's bed. My first thought was I was seeing things, maybe some crap in my eyes, or it was all in my head. I calmly closed my eyes and rubbed them, and said to myself, I'll open my eyes and look up, whatever I thought I saw will be gone. So I finished rubbing my eyes and there it was. I stood up saying hey. Whatever was there tuned around, and I swear its expression was surprise. It moved out of view towards what would be the upstairs hallway. I went into my sister's room and it was gone. So I went out to the hallway and there was the family dog. It was looking down the hallway, tilting its head the way confused dogs do. Never saw that again. I was in the hospital when I bumped into my grandma in the elevator. I asked her why she was there alone and where she was going, but she just smiled. We walked to her room together. When I opened the door, I saw my parents crying. My grandma had already passed away. At that moment, I didn't know how to feel. It was a mix of sadness and fear. 3 a.m. Home alone, heard someone whisper my name crystal clear. Noped right out of there so fast I forgot my phone. Once, I saw something unexplainable, a shadow moved with no one there. Still gives me chills. We used to live in a very old house that my dad's great-grandparents had raised their kids in. Out of 9 children, only 4 lived to adulthood, all dying in the house along with his great-grandfather. Needless to say, the place was creepy as shit. We could never keep blinds up in the upstairs window that faced east. Grandma said that Dad would always look out that window with his coffee in the morning. One day my mom and I were alone in the house and decided to do an experiment. We closed all the curtains in the upstairs room and then went outside to look at them. All the curtains were still closed except for in the window pointing east. It was open about 6 inches in the middle, enough for someone to look out of. I'm not saying that house was haunted, but that shit was totally haunted. I once saw a shadow figure move across my room, even though no one else was there. About 16 years old, 20 years ago, saw a strange object float across the living room between myself and the TV. Best way I can describe it was a black ball just smaller than a basketball, loosely wrapped in thick red spaghetti strands. It appeared, floated a couple of feet from my right to left slowly and disappeared, all within about 3-5 seconds. It was nighttime, lights were on, and nobody else was around, but I saw it clear as day. No clue what it was, never told anyone about it. I am a graphic designer and should probably render it and share to see if anyone else has experienced something similar. I lived in a haunted house for 8 years. The number of events we had there was astounding. Most spectacular were the times when the sound of breaking glass and dishes would be heard from the kitchen, but nothing was out of place. That was especially fun when we had guests over. I once saw a small boy and a cat in one room. One other person later saw the boy, and someone else later saw the cat. I hadn't told anyone what I had seen because I didn't fully believe I'd seen it. As much as we experienced stuff there, it wasn't scary. Just one event frightened me, everything else was actually pretty interesting. I saw a shadow being standing in my bathroom. When I tried talking to it, it dissipated like a puff of smoke. I have had the same dream of a spirit choking me every time I slept for 3 months. It felt so real. It could sleep apnea and a bunch of other things, but it was so fucking scary I couldn't fight back or even open my eyes while this happened. This happened in a very old, cheap, dingy house I lived in Delhi, and it stopped after I moved out. I worked overnight at a grocery store. It was only me and one dude because it was a light night. so we're exchanging scary stories, and I went down to adjust one of the cans on the bottom row. At that moment, a demon dog at the end of the aisle walked by and looked at me, then full sprinted towards me. I screamed and jumped back. There was nothing there. My coworker didn't see anything, but I did show him my legitimate goosebumps. I don't know what I saw in that moment. I had for sure seen things there late at night, but this was the worst of all of them. We changed the topic after that time. Strangest substance-induced experience I've ever had. I watch forensic files at night. I usually fall asleep to it. One particular night while I was deep into my substance abuse phase, I had eaten some mushrooms, just enough to see some mild visuals. I was doing whippets at the same time nitrous oxide, and after taking about 2-3 chargers in a single breath, I watched the TV and noticed that the narrator Peter Thomas was suddenly narrating my life and current actions. Not just kind of hearing a different dialogue. I was literally hearing this man narrate my life, as if he was reading a novel about my actions out loud to me. This only lasted about 30 seconds, but it was so incredibly real that it made me question reality for a while. Not sure if this is considered paranormal, but when I get fevers as a child, I would always, in my fugue and pain-infused state, hear a man counting in a very deep voice. He would count from 1 and up. As the numbers get larger, the voice gets louder and more intense. It started to get less frequent as I grew older, and now I do not experience it anymore. I've brushed it aside as a recurring nightmare until only recently I've learned that my sister would experience the exact same thing when she was younger as well. It's not the scariest thing, but it does send shivers down my spine trying to comprehend this. I smelled a fart that wasn't mine. I live by myself. None, ever. One time when I was in elementary school, I was looking for my Saints gloves for a dress-up day thing. I found one and spent what seemed like forever looking for the other, and moments before I would have had to abort the gloves altogether, the wardrobe door just pops open. Lo and behold, it's chilling on the floor of it in the corner. That and a lot of sleep paralysis.